gosh, that takes me back. Or forwards. That's the trouble with time travel. You can never remember. Hello and welcome back to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam, and today we're going to be talking about The Androids of Tara, written by David Fisher and directed by Malcolm Hayes. This is a 4-part adventure, and it is the 4th story in the massive Key to Time story arc, in which Doctor and his companions Romana and K9 are searching for the segments of the Key to Time so that the White Guardian can restore the universe after and against the Black Guardian. And here the story does something very odd, because with the other stories in this series, it's mainly about the Doctor and Romana finding the piece. However, in this story, Romana finds it really early on. So, just something to point out. Now, I don't hear a lot of people talk about this story. I find it's a very underrated, not a classic, but a gem. It's a lot of fun. And I don't know, I just found it really well put together. It was inspired by the film, which was inspired by the novel, Prisoner of Zenda, that's what it is. So this is inspired by that, and the original story is this swashbuckling adventure to do with doppelgangers and a king forcefully marrying a queen and stuff, princess and stuff. So it's got a very Michael Fairbanks kind of feel with it, that kind of swashbuckling, the hero's always adventurous kind of feel. And I personally really enjoyed it. I don't hear a lot of people talk about it. I don't know if people like it or hate it in terms of a general opinion, but I really enjoyed it anyway, and I highly recommend others watch as well. It's one of the more action-packed adventures of the 70s. So what happens? The Doctor and Romana land on the planet Terra, this place which is kind of like just above like a medieval, but they have like androids as well. And Romana goes searching for the Key to Time because the Doctor's taking a holiday, as he says, and he says he's going to go fishing, to which he does. This will be the start of the Doctor showing one of his favourite hobbies, fishing. He would do so again in later stories, and actually in our chronological ordering, he's actually shown an interest of fishing back in The Fate of Krelos and The Tombs of Telos. Yeah. So anyway, so the Doctor's gone fishing, and Romana goes looking for and finds the 4th segment to the Key to Time. However, she is met by Grandel of Gra, a nobleman who is astonished that Romana is even there. He seems to recognise her, but not giving a game away, and offers to take her back to his castle. And he even explains, when he sees that she's got the Key to Time, he says that all minerals must be catalogued, although this seems to be a lie, as later on in the story Romana says don't forget to catalogue it, and he seems to have forgotten. So that was clearly a lie to get her into his palace. Whilst here, the Doctor gets attacked by a nobleman swordsman, in a very great line where this guy, he has a sword that can shoot out electric bolts, and he hits the Doctor's scarf with it, and he puts his foot on the Doctor's chest, and the Doctor's like, can you get your foot off my chest, mate? You've scratched my scarf. Something like that. And the way that Tom Baker delivers it is A-class 4th Doctor. Like I've said, this is around the time, which I've said in my previous episodes, this is around the time where Tom Baker had a lot more control behind the scenes, and he's a lot more bohemian. He's a lot more eccentric in these stories, and here he's very quick on his feet with dialogue and stuff. One of my favourite lines is after when he finds out that this person is looking for a scientist, or just like a general, somebody who knows about androids, because he's working for the king, the real king of Tara. I don't think it says his name on the back of this. Yeah, it doesn't say what his name is on the back of this. But anyway, the king, he fears for his life because he knows that Grendel of Graal wants to take his place, and he needs to get coronated so he can become king. But obviously Grendel wants to be the king, and so he tries to hint him and plans to assassinate him. However, the prince has come up with a plan that he's going to send a android duplicate, and the real prince would go into through a back entrance and appear in the seat. However, the prince gets captured by Graal at the end of part 1, as Graal goes to their base. Prior to this, Graal takes Romana to a mechanic, and she also seems to be surprised at Romana. Later it's explained that Romana actually is a perfect resemblance of one of the princesses there, the prince's bride-to-be, who he loves. And so they thought that she was a cybernetic android duplicate, to which she isn't, obviously. She's the Doctor's companion. Surprising that they have both a doppelganger and android's duplicates. I was waiting for the moment where they explain that the princess is an android, Romana, but that never happens. So maybe it's a good time here to talk about Mary Tam, who plays Romana. Here she does a fantastic job playing not one, but 4 different roles, as she plays Romana, the princess as an android, and Romana as an android. Sadly, none of the real people, anyway, that she plays has a lot to do. Romana seems to be getting kidnapped all the time. She gets rescued, she escapes, and seems to escape with very little information she gets out or anything. And part of the plot mainly seems to have her get the Doctor confused with the androids and stuff like that. And obviously, later on, Graal tries to marries the prince to Romana, and then Romana to himself, so that when she dies, he can inherit all the lands of Tara. And yeah, so Romana herself doesn't get a lot to do, and as well when she's the prince, when Mary Tam's the princess, she doesn't get a lot to do either, as she spends most of her scenes just sitting down and weaving. And yeah, it's a bit sad, as Mary Tam is a fantastic actress and she shows her great range in this story, but the script for her actual characters aren't given a lot to do. However, the androids themselves are very great, and they're very creepy as well. Back with the Doctor, he comes up with a plan that now that Graal thinks that he's got the king, which, I mean, he has got the king, his men will take the android to get crowned, and so tricking everybody into believing that the prince is being crowned. So the Doctor tries to reprogram the android to talk and stuff like that. And these people, they don't believe that the Doctor will be sticking to his word. At least they don't trust him completely. And this leads to one of my favourite lines, in which someone asks him that they want him to stand there and look after the androids at all times. And the Doctor gets up, sits up, and it's like, you can't tell me what to do or anything. and the guy with the sword puts it up to the Doctor's face, and he just goes, "Actually, I can be with the android at all times." I just love that little moment. It's just so... the way that Tom Baker swiftly changes attitude is just hilarious. And it's also here that he summons K9. And so the story revolves now around about the Doctor trying to get the android onto the throne, to which he does. And when they're there, he meets what he believes is Romana, but the Doctor notices something, and when the princess, or Romana, bows down and is like, "I worship you, my lord," the Doctor jumps up and whacks Romana across the head, leaving into a cliffhanger. That is a very great cliffhanger. I really love that little moment. You're like, what the hell? The Doctor just turned on Romana. I mean, sure, later on it's explained that she's a duplicate, an android duplicate, there to make sure that the king will be dead. So there you go. But the Doctor saw through it and smashed Romana, well, someone with the face of a Romana, with the bat. So let's talk about Graal. Graal is a fantastic villain. He's so casual about his plan, and I love the way he's a bit of a twirling, mustache twirling villain, but he's also very casual, and he's very pompous. He's very full of himself, and it comes out perfectly played by the actor who I can't remember the name of, but he's just a fantastic actor. And fun fact, in the novels, in a short story novel featuring the Seventh Doctor and Bernice Summerfield, Graal actually returns, teaming up with the Candyman. You heard that right. Graal and the Candyman team up for a rematch with the Doctor. What a strange concept. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the androids of Tara. And so the mission goes from trying to find the prince and trying to find Romana and stuff. Romana and this woman who works for Graal sends Doctor a letter, which is clearly a trap, in which I will return Romana. Just give me something, which I can't remember what it was. And so the Doctor goes into this small hut-like building, and she comes in and the Doctor gives her what she wants. And so Romana turns out to be an android, and when the Doctor talks, she shoots a laser beam, and the Doctor gets away from it and all that. And there's a great bit here where Graal has his men all around the building, and he tells them to tells the Doctor, "Leave now, and I promise we won't shoot." And the Doctor comes out, and firing suddenly happens. The Doctor switches back in, and a really brilliant Douglas Fairbanks moment, or at least it reminds me of that, like, swashbuckling adventure. And the Doctor escapes by making a little tunnel with K9. K9 gets a bit to do in this story. He helps the Doctor a lot, making the tunnels, receiving information. He's the one who tells the Doctor that Romana isn't Romana. She's actually a robot duplicate. And he also tells Doctor that Romana is at Grendel's castle. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on there, and I just really enjoy it. It's just a lot of fun. Just a lot of swashbuckling action. The Doctor goes back to try and save the prince, as Graal, now that the king has been anointed, the prince has been anointed king. His plan now is to marry the king to the princess Romana, and to which he threatens that if she doesn't reply, he could kill the princess. So they become explicit in his plan, and then when the prince dies, he's going to marry Romana and then kill her off. However, just before the prince gets married, before they can say "I do," the doctor walks in, to which Graal and the doctor have a pretty decent sword fight. So this is probably a good time to mention Michael Hayes directing in this story. There's a lot of bright scenery in this story, and it makes the story feel absolutely gorgeous. It has that vintage feeling that it reminds me a lot of like 60s Shakespeare films, like Romeo and Juliet, any film basically with a Laurence Olivier in them. Those kind of films, you know what I'm on about. A lot of bright colours, a lot of nice fantasy scenery. They actually shot a bit of it on Leeds Castle, and they had a map painter. For those of you who don't know, map painting is an old movie effect which has become obsolete now, in which they would put a glass in front of a screen and they would paint all the elements like buildings and stuff. Obviously you couldn't have stuff moving, but it makes great for some scenery which doesn't interact with the actors. And when they did the Leeds Castle, they actually added some fantasy like towers onto the castle, giving it a really great, almost like a high budget effect. There's some really great effects in this story. None of it feels cheap or sleazy, but that might be because it's not a very heavy effects story. It's mainly a costume drama with a little bit of effects, and the androids are reused from the Android Invasion, so it might imply that the androids there were Tara androids. Who knows? Maybe, or maybe Tara has been making the same negotiations with the same people making the same androids, if that makes any sense. But yeah, there's a lot of great costumes as well in this story. This is a very great looking story. Michael Hayes does a fantastic job at shooting it as well. There's some great moments where the Doctor's on a boat, and there's some great action scenes as well, like I'm going to mention now with the sword fight. And yeah, I just can't really fault it really. If they have one issue with the directing, is that sometimes where Michael Hayes is not very good at shooting in confined spaces. Okay, what I mean by that is the prince's room, which the Doctor meets him in. That bit is a bit generic. One just seems like everything's coming from one angle, but apart from that, it's a really good looking story. So the Doctor has a full sword fight with Grendel of Graal, and it's very intense because they don't add any music. I think though it might have worked a bit better with music, because this is supposed to be a tribute to The Prisoner of Zenda, a swashbuckling film. So I think we should have had the music really going bombastic here, but the scene goes for more tense, so we get no music. And the sword fight actually takes quite a bit, as it takes them from the wedding room up some stairs and even to the outside, to which Graal hears that his army has been defeated and that he's lost, and to which Graal demands that he will get his revenge on the Doctor. Very silly. I will get back for you, Doctor. You haven't seen the last of me, kind of thing. And he jumps into the river and you see him swimming off. And so he still lives and he's free. So that's a very surprising... I can't name much Doctor Who stories where a one-off villain escapes and teases his return. I would have really liked to see him return. Maybe a Big Finish audio drama could go into detail about him. Who knows? It would be really nice. I think that would be really cool. And so the Doctor and Romana get the key to time and they take it back to the TARDIS, finishing up this story. And so that's the Androids of Tara. Overall, it's a lot of fun. It's never boring. It's bright colours. It's got some great twists and turns. It's got some great action scenes. It's got a great playful nature about it. And I really enjoyed it. So there you go. That's the Androids of Tara. So join me next time where we will watch one of the most hated Doctor Who stories, or at least one of the most generally considered boring stories. And the Doctor and Romana has to fight a big giant squid, green native Indian inspired people, and oil people again. Politics, not politics. Pollution. Pollution is bad. So join me next time for The Power of Krull. See you next time on the Doctor Who Marathon. Ta-ra.